Hello everyone, welcome back to Community Starcraft 2. I'm your host Sidewinder, and today I'm going to be bringing you a cast between two ladder players. They're going to be from the Diamond Leagues. Spawning down here in the bottom left-hand side of Tal'Darim Altar is going to be PushpopGator. He is going to be fighting our blue Terran player, who is spawning down the bottom right. His name is Manatee. So a couple of notes from this replay. Again, like I mentioned, this is from the ladder. This is a diamond level replay, so we'll see what we get out of this. And this is going to be on Tal'Darim Altar, which is the huge map that was imported from the GSL map pool and changed up just a little bit. Those of you that watch the GSL will notice that on the GSL maps they don't have these destructible rocks right here. So taking a third is a little easier on the GSL version. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the GSL, that would be the Korean tournament that will showcase all the best players in the world, supposedly, or at least those that live in Korea. Historically, foreigners, and that being us, all of us that live outside of Korea, have not fared terribly well in those tournaments, so it's regarded by most to be the best tournament in the world. Manatee just opening up here with a barracks on 12, which is pretty normal. He did have a slight gap there in his SCV production, but yeah, pretty standard stuff here going on from here, and he's not opting to wall, so I'm wondering if he is planning on bringing any tech down, or if he is just not really all that worried about any sort of pressure. This is a huge map. They are both on relatively, well, the closest positions you can basically get in terms of travel distance. Manatee actually scouting in the wrong direction while his opponent is going to scout him first. So we'll see what kind of aggression comes out of this. Manatee's gas is up. Checking into PushpopGator's base, he is just going for something overly standard as well. Gas is done, gateway's on its way, pylon's up. To expect a Cybernetics core to come down here any second, which is very normal. You players out there, be sure to get your Cybernetics core done as soon as you can afford it, and as soon as your gateway is done. We are not seeing it yet. Okay, now he's just pulling to set it up. So, pretty normal stuff here. Orbital Command coming down here from Manatee. I will note that Protoss versus Terran is my most favorite matchup. So you're going to see a lot of cool stuff coming down from this matchup a lot of times. There is a gas steal here from PushpopGator, and for those of you that don't see a lot of gas steals from the Protoss versus Terran perspective, at least in the eyes of Protoss, it's very helpful in order to try to delay any tech from coming down. Now you can see Manatee is throwing down a factory anyway, but what you're going to prevent is, number one, you're going to make him produce Marines to try to deal with this. And in the meantime, that leaves his front door wide open. So a lot of times in Protoss versus Terran, you will want to keep a scout around. And if you get this gas steal, they almost always will pull all the Marines to deal with that, and you can run in here and see what's going on and get a scout in later than expected. We can see PushpopGator actually just hid a scout in the side of his base, possibly knowing that this gas steal would make him focus all his attention on there, so very smart move on PushpopGator's part. Checking back into the Protoss base, there's going to be a second gateway coming down. It's going to be a quick 2-gate. I almost wonder if it's going to be going into expansion. He is getting a second gas, so that really screams some sort of Tier 2 tech, even into Tier 3. A lot of players like to bring out robotics facilities to prevent from Terran tech, most specifically Banshees. And we do see a starport coming down from Manatee. Now, I actually wonder if PushpopGator has this intel with that scout. He did see the factory, but he did not see the starport. But you have to only figure that it's coming down. This is another big sign that tech is coming down from Terran if they bunker their front door. So we're getting a lot of helpful tips here from Protoss in terms of scouting Terrans. Terrans are noted for being able to just sit inside their base and prevent anything from knowing what they're doing, since they can't get since Protoss players can't get a robotics out very quickly, and since Terrans can always wall too, to keep any sort of scouting outside of their base. But there is more that you can do than just actually seeing their buildings. You can make assumptions based upon this being up, or based upon what units you will see, you know, heading out or sitting inside the Terran base. Now there are Marines here running around, checking to make sure there are no hidden scouts. You can see those weird rallies, and in the Protoss base you're going to see he's going to be actually on 4 gateways, and there was a Twilight Council down. Blink is on the way, so we're probably going to see some sort of 4-gate Blink timing push. PushpopGator is moving out in order to try to deflect any scouting from coming up. He will be putting down a forward pylon, or rather a proxy pylon, so that he can get warp-ins closer to his enemy. But in the meantime, we're going to see Banshees on the way for Manatee, as well as Banshee cloaking. Now it depends on the time of PushpopGator's push whether he's going to be able to see if the Banshees are going to be done. If the Banshee's cloaking is done, then he's not going to have any detection on the field. He'll have a really hard time holding this off. Manatee is opting to just bypass this army, and or rather what he suspects might be here, and go straight for the main. You can see PushpopGator might be a little bit worried about that. Manatee, unfortunately, luring some stalkers back to his base, kind of putting units in position that he would ideally not want to be there. This Banshee's going to get in. I would expect it to get a few probe kills here. We're going to check on the cooldowns. The cooldowns do appear to be ready, so he should be able to warp in to deal with this as soon as possible. We do see 4 stalkers coming in here. The Banshee is not being microed terribly well. He might lose this Banshee, especially with Blink. Good Blink to get that Banshee out of the sky. So a little bit of a lost investment there for Manatee early on in this game. But cloaking, it will be done just momentarily. So this next Banshee, if it goes straight to his base, he's gonna, the Protoss player is going to have a really hard time holding this off. We see another pylon coming down closer to the base, so he can warp in on the low ground, I would suspect, or perhaps blink to the low ground and then blink back up again here if he can get any sort of vision by way of bypassing these bunkers in some way. You can blink to pretty much anywhere you can see, and I don't know if he's going to have vision across that chasm in order to blink up there. No, the pylon range does not reach. Meanwhile, back in the Protoss main, we're going to see this Banshee really going to work, trying to focus down the probes on gas so that he can hold off this rush for a little longer. We're going to see PushpopGator assembling all of his forces here on the low ground, possibly going to try to blink up there, but he does not have vision. So we're going to see how he transitions out of this. 2-pronged attack going on. Marines do get a sense of shenanigans going on over here, but this could have been just to lure him out of his bunker. So going back over here, he's going to easily push these bunkers down if he decides to push in, but he's not. Back in the main, this Banshee is going nuts. This Banshee has 9 probe kills, now up to 10. If you check a look at the income, Manatee is now up by 20 workers on this, but here go the stalkers. The 2 bunkers were actually salvaged so that he would get the resources back in order to try to hold this off. Another Banshee is on its way out, but the starport could be focused down in time, pulling all of his SCVs to try to deal with this blink push, but all the SCVs are getting stuck behind his army. He finally lowers the supply depots, but he's taken way too many losses now. He needs to pull the remainder of these SCVs, realizing how far ahead he is, and especially with Blink, he's not going to get a lot done with this small force. So the Stalkers are really going to town, engaging at a great angle to prevent any SCVs from fighting here. This Banshee is finally out. It needs to cloak so that it does not get focused down, because it's basically his last hope. The Banshee goes down. I am very surprised we did not see that Banshee cloak. We actually have another orbital here pumping up more SCVs. And this Banshee, there's 2 Banshees over here now. Clean up the probe line. Look at this. There is 4 Harvesters remaining for a Protoss player, but the Terran player's main is getting completely ravaged. The advantage here for the Terran player is that he can lift off and relocate his base somewhere else. Banshees come in here to support, and depending on how long they can hold this cloak, they will clean the rest of this up, but not after losing all of the production here. So this is a really strange base trade situation. These SCVs, I'd like to see them pulled rather than just dying for no cause. Another barracks going up in the back. These Banshees are really going to work on these Stalkers. One of them runs out of energy. With 21 kills, though, you can't complain about that many kills on one Banshee. Getting the rest of these Stalkers down. Great Blink Micro to pull these guys back before they lose their shields, or rather too much health. Mule is sitting here repairing the Banshee. Look at this. He's pulling all of his workers here to repair the Banshee that's hurt. He finally has to scatter because this other Banshee is not hurt since he's still cloaked. There's only 5 Stalkers remaining in the main. 2 Mules get called down to keep mining. This game is so crazy to start off with. This Stalker is going to fall to the next Banshee shot, and there he goes. Stalker's trying to clean up the rest of the line, realizing that they have no chance to take out this Banshee up until the cloaking field runs out. But that Banshee should survive, especially now that a Marauder is on the field and ready to get to work, shoot down these last couple of Stalkers, and finally end this bizarre engagement. You can see the power of having 2 orbitals up right now. He has 5 Mules mining all at the same time. So if you look at the income, his income is like 5 times the Protoss player, only because of those Mules and only because he put that orbital command up earlier. This Banshee's coming around and clearing out some pylons in order to try to put PushpopGator back even further. The Protoss player is now well behind, I would say, considering he cannot rely on the support of those Mules, and he still doesn't have any detection except for this 1 cannon that's going to be erected in his mineral line, and the Forge is actually proxied at a really weird spot, so I don't know that I really agree with that decision to proxy the Forge up in the middle of the map because of how vulnerable it is, and you'll now lose your only detection if that goes down. Well, not the Forge itself, but you'll lose the ability to put up more cannons in case you need them, like in an expansion later on. Banshee's going to make its way in here again, not after it has 11 kills. So his 2 Banshees that he had out, or rather the 3 Banshees that he had out, total are doing work. They're really decimating this Protoss army. Banshee's going to cloak, but surprise, you're going to get revealed. He needs to be careful to not lose this Banshee because it is so valuable at this stage of the game when both players have teched, but they both have almost no economy. The Terran player is going to really leap ahead in economy here because he has 2 command centers producing SCVs and those mules. His production facilities are finally coming back up. He's now going to be up to 5 barracks, and I would imagine once he gets well saturated at this mineral line, he's going to move this command center over to his expansion and be well ahead in mining at that point. Back in the Protoss base, things are just kind of slowly ramping up. If we take a look at the production tab again, nothing really surprising. It's almost as if this game just started over again after that first engagement. That was just so strange. This Banshee's still just roaming around, possibly looking around for some tricky expansions that might have gone up in order to punish the Protoss player if he is trying anything cute like that, but he's not going to, or rather she is not going to find anything, as we can clearly see that the Banshee pilot is a female. Checking around, he does land that command center at his natural expansion. In response here, and this is what you'll see out of a lot of Protoss players, if they feel desperate, they will throw down a Dark Shrine in order to try to catch up and see what kind of damage they can do to the mining or whatever they need to do in the main of the Terran. And blindly, we do see a turret going up, unless he did scout that Dark Shrine. I would be surprised. He did not, but maybe he's just figuring it's a possibility. Throwing up that turret there, and one at his expansion is going to be huge, which is right there, in order to deflect this DT play, so I can't imagine these Dark Templars are going to do a whole lot once they finally hit the field, which is a little bit unfortunate for Pushpop, but again, he can meld those Dark Templars into Archons, which are getting really popular in Protoss versus Terran right now, which are very much more powerful than they were before because they're no longer slowed by the Marauder concussive shells, which we can see are researched due to them not being present here on the upgrades. So down goes this Forge. Again, I don't know why he proxied this Forge. It's really strange to proxy it out in this location. Maybe it was just because the Banshee was inside his base and just wrecking stuff up on his mineral line, that this was the only safe place to put it. So I guess I should watch my words and see exactly what's a good idea depending on the circumstances. But you have to feel that, I don't know if this pylon was up at the time. If he had it in his main, that would be a lot safer, but it's obviously a little more of a risk since he does need that cannon in his mineral line to defend from any sort of Banshee play again.